JBNN will keep you informed. I'm Michelle Jones, and in the news, 16-year-old shot and injured by gunmen. A 16-year-old boy has been hospitalized after he was shot and injured by a gunman on Red Hills Road in St. Andrews Saturday morning. The Kingston High School student was reportedly shot around 9:30 a.m. Reports are that the teenager was standing in his yard with his nephew when men opened fire. The men then reportedly entered the yard where the teen resides and shot him. The student's condition is unknown at this time. St. Elizabeth man in US $40 million cocaine bust gets 12 years. A 42-year-old St. Elizabeth fisherman was on Friday sentenced to an accumulated time of 12 years in prison in the Home Circuit Court following his conviction on drug-related charges. Daniel Hansen was sentenced after he pleaded guilty to 3 counts of breaches of the Dangerous Drugs Act with which he was charged in 2021. He was arrested along with 2 other men on Monday, November 22, 2021, about 9 p.m. after the Jamaica Defense Force Coast Guard intercepted a fishing boat off the coast of Black River, St. Elizabeth, on which they were traveling with approximately 812 kilograms of cocaine. Following an investigation by detectives at the Jamaica Constabulary Force Narcotics Division, all 3 men were subsequently charged with possession, dealing, importing and trafficking cocaine, and being part of a criminal organization. On their appearance before the court Friday, Hansen, who previously pleaded guilty to possession, dealing and importing cocaine, received sentences amounting to 12 years and 2 months. However, he may spend a maximum of 7 years and 7 months in prison, given that some of the sentences are to run consecutively. The charges against the other 2 men were withdrawn. The drug for which the men were charged had an estimated street value of more than $40 million. Homemade firearms seized in St. Anne. One homemade firearm was seized by the St. Anne's Bay Police during a targeted raid in Chalky Hill, St. Anne on Friday, February 3. Reports are that about 8:30 p.m., lawmen in the area when a premises was searched and the gun was seen in the dresser of the dwelling. No one was arrested in relation to the seizure. Investigation continues. Army to man ports in Second City after second massive gun find. Members of the Jamaica Defense Force JDF are expected to be dispatched to the Montego Bay Wharf as of Monday, owing to the huge numbers of guns and ammunition which have been passing through the port in recent times. Soldiers were stationed at the facility before but were moved for reasons unknown. Their return comes on the heels of some 60 guns, including rifles, found yesterday in crates at the port handler's warehouse. This is the second major weapons find in a week. Sources at the wharf said that the consignee was the same as last Friday. 22 guns were confiscated in that find at the Seaboard warehouse on another section of the free zone area. This new shipment was from Florida. How is it that it is so easy to ship guns to Jamaica? We have the systems in place to prevent this from happening, said a port handler who asked not to be named. She said the process to send goods out of Jamaica was so difficult and care is taken to ensure that illicit items do not end up in the United States, but it appears that little is done to prevent weapons from entering the island. Efforts to get a comment from National Security Minister Dr. Horace Strong last evening proved futile. The only thing the minister reportedly said through his communications officer was, "It is an active investigation, so I'd prefer not to comment." In the wake of the January 27 gun find, Chang said at the time that he hoped the siege of the 22 guns and large cache of ammunition at the wharf in Freeport would discourage others from trying to send guns to Jamaica through the ports. This kind of find we're very happy to hear, and we look forward to more, but not so much more. So those who are trying to bring them in, stop the activity, because whatever they do, we'll find a way. The criminal mind is smart, but our police and security forces are going to intercept and disrupt this type of activity, he said last week. Man who was named as a person of interest killed in suspected reprisal. The police have theorized that Friday's murder of 37-year-old Dwayne Smith in Mount Hindmost, Chapelton, Clarendon, was a reprisal killing. They believe it stemmed from the January 23 murder of 58-year-old farmer Selvin Dunkley of the same community. It has been reported that about 11 a.m. on Friday, Smith, a mason, was washing a motor vehicle along the roadway when he was pounced upon by a gunman who fired several shots, hitting him in the upper body. Smith fell to the ground and the gunman escaped on foot. The police were summoned and he was taken to the Chapelton Community Hospital where he was pronounced dead. The police say Smith was named a person of interest in Dunkley's murder. The police say a person of interest has been identified in relation to Friday's murder. Two Asian nationals charged with illegal entry. Two Asian nationals have been arrested and charged with illegal entry following their arrival into Jamaica on Wednesday, January 19. They are Ronald Giorgio, a 40-year-old carpenter, and Jean Paul, a 34-year-old artist and construction worker, both of Port-au-Prince, Haiti. Reports from the Darling Street Police are that both men came to the station, and during an interview, it was revealed that they did not enter the island through any of the official ports and had no records of their entry. They were subsequently arrested and charged. Their court date is being finalized. Man accused of killing woman's son who intervened in their domestic dispute remanded. A St. Catherine resident who allegedly shot and killed a man who tried to intervene in a domestic dispute was remanded when he appeared in the St. Catherine Parish Court on Friday. 53-year-old Conron Johnson, otherwise called Chroma and Con, a labourer of Roadside District, Mount Russell, St. Catherine, was ordered to appear in the gun court on February 24. It is alleged that about 4 a.m. on January 18, Johnson was at home when a dispute developed between himself and his female partner. During the argument, he reportedly threatened to kill her with a gun he had in his possession. Upon hearing the commotion, the woman's son, Clayton Turner, 28-year-old labourer of Roadside District, Yuaton, St. Catherine, intervened and was allegedly shot by Johnson. Johnson reportedly fled the scene. Turner was taken to hospital, where he was pronounced dead. Johnson was held by the police and was subsequently charged with murder, possession of a prohibited weapon, and possession of firearm with intent to commit a felony. Teachers say no to pay package. Delegates of the Jamaica Teachers Association JTA on Friday rejected the government's compensation package at a special conference of the association at the Woolmers Boys School in Kingston. A JTA release said 585 delegates voted, with 560 voting to reject the offer, 24 voting to accept, while one ballot was rejected. In light of the overwhelming rejection, the JTA said it will be writing to the Ministry of Finance outlining the outcome of the meeting and seeking an improved offer and a request to return to the bargaining table at the soonest possible time. The conference was called following a meeting of consultation with JTA members island-wide. President of the JTA, LaSonia Harrison, in an interview earlier this week, said there were several challenges faced by the association during the negotiations. There are things we certainly continue to have negotiations and talks with the government about. If it is that we are serious about retention of experienced and quality teachers, if we are serious about the sustenance of an education system driven by Jamaican educators, then our government really needs to rethink and come again, Harrison said. Government retreats. The government announced on Friday that it will be making amendments to the Road Traffic Act or its regulations in light of public concerns raised regarding the requirement for a child restraint system in public passenger vehicles, PPVs. Following deliberations on the matter for over an hour during Cabinet's retreat on Friday, Prime Minister Andrew Holness, in a press statement at the Office of the Prime Minister, said the adjustments will be done as quickly as possible. It may come in the form of amendments to the regulations, which can be done very quickly by a ministerial direction, which may not necessarily need to go to Parliament, or if it does, as soon as possible in Parliament, he said.
The Cabinet, in its retreat, took some time off to deliberate on the matter of a child restraint system being now enforced under the new Road Traffic Act and the public concerns that have been raised. First, I want to say that your government pays attention to what you say as the public, and your views inform our action. And all governments try to be, or should try to be, in sync with the perspectives that are expressed by its citizens and try to balance them, even when the perspectives often differ. Having said that, I would also want to express the government's not just concern, but sympathy for those persons who have been inconvenienced in any way by the implementation, the enforcement of the requirements under the new legislation. We gather that there have been some public transport operators who have said that they are unwilling to carry children. And that gives us a point of entry into the conversation. The objective of the clause, the provision in the law, was specifically to provide for the safety of our children. And as a country, I think all Jamaicans agree that the law should have in it elements that provide for the safety of our children. So I don't think that there is any disagreement there, and anyone who would disagree with that would be totally unreasonable. The question is, does the implementation of this particular provision in the law itself adds to the unsafe environment for children? And for the government, and I'm certain for parents and for the reasonable Jamaicans looking on, what we wouldn't want to happen is for our children to be in an unsafe position because they cannot get access to public transportation. And so the government has to consider this very carefully. The police have considered it very carefully as well, as there might be other issues of enforcement that they encounter. And I take note as well that the police commissioner has issued a statement which essentially is saying that the police will exercise a certain level of discretion on this matter and will police it as it was under the old act. I gather that was the essence of the statement.
JBN, we keep you informed. Please remember to subscribe, like, share, leave us a comment and click the notification bell to receive our daily news items.